So when you opened your gym, you probably went ahead and found the location, you figured out what equipment you wanted, maybe even you came up with a catchy brand name, and you had an idea of exactly how this business was going to operate, create a great livelihood for you, and help people change their lives. But the one thing you probably didn't think about was the financial model of the business. Where was money going to go in the first year of business? How would that change as your business evolved and you hired more staff? Would you ever need to fluctuate your own pay or your profit margins as maybe time progresses and you need to take out a loan, or you're looking to go ahead and take home more money as you near the end of your time in the business? This is something that most owners do not think about before we jump into this thing. We don't think about the financial model of the business. Hi guys, I'm Stu with What the Fuck Gym Talk, and I solve problems for microgym owners, and I'm here to talk to you today about financial models. This is a term that, if you've ever read this amazing book, Profit First for Microgym Owners by my man John Briggs. And in this book, he talks about the cash management system he uses called Profit First. Now, essentially, John calls what I refer to as financial models, John refers to as cash flow analysis. Now, I call it a financial model because as your time in the business evolves and as your goals change, because what you want out of the business in year one is not the same as to what you're going to want out of the business in year 10 or year 20. Things in your life are going to change. You might have family, you might want to move, you might want to grow your location, you might want to buy a building. Things are going to change and your financial model needs to change with it. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now, when we think about the financial model of your business, we essentially are taking a look at these 6 areas. Every microgym has an amount of money that they generate every single month. We're gonna call that TMR, your total monthly revenue. That is our 100%. That's the amount of gross revenue we have, and now we have to allocate that money to all the things needed within the business. Things like profit, right? Yeah, profit's needed within the business. How about owner pay? I hope you're taking home some kind of money from this business. Payroll, operating expenses, and don't forget the tax man. These are the major categories that you need to have a game plan, a certain percentage of your total monthly revenue that needs to be allocated towards these. And if you don't have a game plan for this and you're just kind of figuring it out as you go, what ends up happening is, I don't know, maybe by the end of the year, April comes around if you're here in the United States, and taxes are due, and you haven't put aside any money for taxes. Or maybe you're an owner who isn't really paying themselves. They're just using the business debit card to pay for everything and calling it a write-off. So maybe your owner pay has never been fully structured. You never really feel like you're receiving anything from the business because you've not been formally paid in distributions or maybe as a W-2 officer or a salaried employee within the business. Having a financial model is one of the most important things because it does change over time. But you can never process that evaluation if you never start with one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you 2 case studies of 2 different financial models of 2 random different microgyms and show you as to how the changes and differences in the percentages for each of these buckets drastically changes the future and endeavor and potential of those 2 respective gyms. Okay, so here's the case study for the very first model. We've got profit set at 3%, owner pay is set at 12, payrolls at 45, operating expenses are at 30, and taxes are at 10. Now, the reason I'm showing you percentages, and I'm not doing it off numbers, right? I'm not telling you what the total monthly revenue is because it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter what the total monthly revenue is. This is their financial model for this microgym at this stage in the business. And the reason it's significant is because of the scenario that might make this breakdown, this financial model, advantageous for that microgym owner at that particular time in their life and in their business. For example, in this particular case study, the profit margin is real low, 3%. If you've done your homework, you know that brick and mortar fitness is trying to exist in this 20 to maybe 25% realm of profit margin. So why in the world would this gym owner want their profit margin to be so damn low? Well, possibly in the scenario in which the gym owner is doing his best to reallocate funds to another area of the business. Let's say perhaps payroll. Payroll is currently the highest allocation. Maybe this is a gym owner who has been looking around and is like, man, the one thing I don't have right now is a good, dedicated, full-time staff. I need to spend 12, 18, 24 months really investing in my HR and moving money from one area of my company to another so I can get my staff up to full-time. Maybe I'm going to have benefits in there. I'm going to have, healthcare, all that. So I need to really reallocate numbers in my financial model and create one that allows me to be payroll forward, allows me to be HR investing constantly until I build up that team. Maybe that takes 12 to 18 months, and then that gym owner, being the smart entrepreneur they are, is going to reset their financial model once that they have everything set up, people are being paid the right amount, and now they can start changing where they're allocating some of their funds. Another example of where profit being very low is when an owner is not necessarily looking to have to show their numbers to anybody. Profit is the what do you bench of the fitness industry in business. I believe that business should have profit, but having a really fat profit margin is not always advantageous. There are a lot of scenarios where an owner might want to take more money out of the business for themselves. Let's say some of these numbers were different and this owner pay was real high. Maybe that owner is looking to extract funds out of the business because they're going and looking to make a major purchase in their life, or they had a family member who had medical bills that they had to help with. Whatever it may be, this is why having a financial model that allows you to see the business as a whole and move these numbers around, again, make sure it all adds up to 100, is very, very smart. It's very intelligent, and it allows an owner the ability to have strategy as life changes for them and the business changes. Hey Stu, why is that owner's pay only 12%? That doesn't seem like a lot of money. I don't know. Maybe this owner has the benefit of their spouse bringing home a ton of money. They don't have to extract as much out of the business, which allows them to deploy it towards other areas like payroll, or maybe they're going to deploy it to profit if that's something they're looking to do. I'm going to show you another case study here with almost an exact opposite scenario, and we'll talk about different instances in which an owner might want this other financial model for their business. Now, if we were to go ahead and take a look at this second case study where we have profit at 20%, owner pay at 0%, payroll at 25%, OPEX at 50%, and then taxes at 5%. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the scenarios here. Now, obviously, the tax rate is something you need to talk to your CPA on. Ask your CPA, hey, for every $100 of gross revenue I make, how much should I be setting aside for taxes? And based on your CPA's tax strategy, which hopefully you guys have set up together, and if you haven't, you should call my friends over at Insight Tax, the people responsible for this book right here, Profit First for Microgyms, and have them take care of you, because having a specific tax strategy that is in line with what you're trying to do in your personal life and your business is a non-negotiable, in my opinion. Now, in this unique case, we have an owner taking no pay at all. That's odd. Why would an owner do that? Well, when we're talking about owner pay, we're talking about distributions. These are non-W-2 payroll or non-W-2 compensation events. These would be distributions done monthly, quarterly, annually, whatever we're looking at. Maybe in this scenario, this owner is young in the business. So they haven't really hired a ton of payroll yet. Payroll is only 25%. Maybe this owner is working in the business a lot. They're working 40 hours a week as a coach, as a social media manager, as a salesman, whatever it is, as a technician in the business. So they're not going to take any distribution, which is why their payroll, is maybe at the point it is, 25% might be the payroll that they're paying themselves every month as that sole technician in the business. Many of us start off as a solo dolo entrepreneur / coach / janitor / marketing person, / customer service. And this 25% could represent the salary they are paying themselves through payroll. Now, look at that OPEX. Operating expenses are through the roof. This represents a scenario, like many clients that I work with, in which they are in a market in which their rent rate is very, very high. Or maybe they currently have a lot of debt in the business because they had to take out credit cards or loans to get started. And they're now in this high operating expense scenario, and our goal is to get that number down over time. But this is the reality. This is why setting up your financial model, whether you like it or not, to the reality of where you are is important. And then you set up a game plan as to how to get to where you want to go. If this is the reality, your operating expenses are 50% of your total monthly revenue, that's the reality. Now, how do we create a strategy and execute on it to get that number down? The other thing we might look at here, a profit at 20% versus the 3 in this previous case study. Why would in this one we want that really high profit? Well, maybe this particular owner is considering, because of their really high rent, going and purchasing a building. And they know a lender is going to want to see retained earnings and profit in the business in order to justify the lending to go purchase a building. So maybe they are being proactive and they're going to spend the next 3 years at a really high profit margin saving that money in the bank so that when they go and talk to their local business bank or the SBA, they are able to cover, the ratios that are needed, the debt service coverage that the bank requires. Guys, there is no right or wrong financial model. Like by just looking at it in paper, it's just whether it's right or wrong, appropriate or inappropriate for you. But if you've not been thinking about your business's financial model in terms of this, I highly recommend, number 1, you get Profit First for Microgyms by John Briggs. Number 2, enroll in my course in Microgym University, the first and only online business school for microgym owners, where I review financial models up and down, left and right. I go through several case studies and I show scenarios in which you might want to turn some of these knobs up and some of these knobs down. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please hit that like button, hit subscribe, comment below. Whatever you see right there on your screen, give some love. And until I see you in the next video, have a great fucking day.